For more analysis on the trade issue, we're joined by Juan Carlos Hidalgo. He's a policy analyst on Latin America at the Cato Institute. And this is the real first hiccup between the Colombia-U.S. free trade agreement. But if you go to the U.S. Trade Representative website, which I did earlier today, they really tout this as eliminating tariffs on 80% of U.S. exports. They say that it's going to help grow the GDP here in the United States by $2.5 billion. Sounds great for the United States, but on the flip side, it sounds to me like the Colombians are pretty upset about it.
Well, let's take into account that the FTA has been in place only for over a year. It went into effect on May 15, 2012. As it is the case with these FTAs, most tariffs are abolished immediately after when they go into effect, but some tariffs remain in place and sometimes for up to 20 years. If you look at the products that are creating the most controversy in Colombia right now, which is milk, cheese, potatoes, and chicken, those tariffs are still in place. In the case of potatoes, which is the only product where tariffs were abolished immediately, the amount of imports from the United States is still negligible. So I don't think that we can blame the FTA yet for the troubles of Colombian farmers.
And clearly, a lot of the protesters would disagree with you. Are there structural problems with it, or just things that should be nibbled around the edge, perhaps?
The problems of Colombian agriculture, that we cannot deny that they're having issues, go back to decades. They have problems with infrastructure. They have problems with the high expenses for inputs. It is ironic, for example, that they are demanding the abolition of tariffs on fertilizers. So they believe in free trade up to a certain degree. But yeah, I mean, they're going to be hit eventually when the tariffs on the products they produce, on milk, on chicken, and other agricultural products are eliminated. So it is a fact that some of them will have to move into more profitable enterprises or more profitable areas. And of course, they're going to need the support of the government in order to make this transition or to become more efficient.
There are some analysts, though, that look at Colombia, and since I guess it was May of 2012, they've had free trade agreements with the United States, Canada, the European Union, also a deal with Israel. And a lot of these people are saying, you know, these deals are lopsided. Is that true, or is it just the perception of the Colombians?
I don't think so. If you look at the free trade agreements that, for example, Colombia has negotiated, and other countries in Latin America, Colombia is not the only one who has negotiated free trade agreement. Chile has free trade agreements with a lot of countries, Peru, Mexico. Colombia tends to be the most protectionist country when they negotiate these free trade agreements. They open up the least to imports from other countries. So we also have to see the other side of the coin here, is that the fact that out of the 47 million Colombian consumers, 32% of them live in poverty, and they will benefit from consuming cheaper goods from abroad.
Is there any collateral damage for the United States looking at this if there's this kind of upheaval when they go to try and negotiate deals with other countries?
Well, right now we have two very big negotiations going on with the TPP, the Trans-Pacific Partnership, and just the free trade agreement with the European Union that was launched a couple of months ago. Those are very contentious. There are very critical agricultural sectors in some countries that are going to be affected, like in the case of Japan, which has a very protected agricultural sector. So we'll see more of this in the future, but I think that there is a very strong case in favor of free trade and abolishing those tariffs that impoverish most of the consumers of these countries.
But what about this perception issue that maybe they sneaked a fast one by us? I mean, if that's the contention of a lot of people in Colombia, that they're getting the short end of the stick on these deals, how do you get past that, the perception issue?
I don't think this is a matter of, you know, like Colombian producers against American producers. This is a matter of Colombian producers against Colombian consumers. If Colombian producers are protected by heavy tariffs and high tariffs, the ones paying the price are not American producers, but are Colombian producers who are paying more to buy chicken, who are paying more to buy milk, who are paying more to buy rice. So I think that they're the ones who benefit the most from free trade.
Juan Carlos, thank you for coming in and giving us your analysis. Certainly appreciate it.
Thanks.